Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today's video is going to be a little different. Today I want to talk to you all in the app for a little bit about as to why I feel Blizzard needs to bring back Heroic Week for patches. Rating, Mythic Plus, all that being encapsulated in one. I want to talk about that today. Hopefully not too long of a video here, but I wanted to make this video since, honestly, like the race to world first, give or take. And I want to say before we get too far into it here that while rating is like my main focus of content, what I enjoy most in the game and all that, I noticed my camera's clipping my character here. It's gonna drive me crazy for this video, but whatever. And all that. This is not. I'm not trying to approach this from like a biased POV. Obviously, when it comes to the world first and rating and split runs and things, having Heroic Week makes that much easier. I wouldn't even say easier. Putting that aside, not easier, but it makes it a better viewing experience for people they're watching the race. It makes it better for the raiders, arguably, not having to do all that when the raid's out. It needs to get done regardless and everything, but it makes for a better, I'd say, overall experience. And experience encapsulates a lot of different things, give or take. But I'm gonna just try and approach this from like a unbiased POV. I'll give my opinions and things as well, but I have definitely enjoyed raiding a lot. I've enjoyed the game a decent bit less every patch after Heroic Week has gone away. Also, shameless plug before I start yapping too much, we're pushing for 100k subs on YouTube this year. If you guys aren't to the channel, if you're subbed, I love you. If you're not subbed, I love you as well. But if you can find that in your heart, maybe consider subbing to the channel. I'd appreciate it. If not, that's okay too. I love you all the same. But we are, I think, at 90.2k subs, which is utterly insane. I don't know what I've done to deserve it. But I greatly appreciate it. So if you like the video and or don't or anything like that and want to consider subbing, hey, I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, and I still love the game. Still greatly enjoy playing it. I wish for more things to do at certain points in time when it came to like player power and all that. That's a different video. But I think the lack of Heroic Week has made patches go from being really exciting for me to like, oh, okay, well, it'll be exciting in a week or two when the raid opens, and then it's exciting, but it's stressful. And now that might be a bit of a bias or a bit of like a higher end rating kind of thing. I'm not in some world first guild. I'm in Temerity. We're Hall of Fame. We're not, you know, rank 1 or anything, right? But one of the bigger things when it comes to rating and, you know, not having a Heroic Week is that when the patch hits and you have LFR, normal, heroic, mythic, M+, the whole season at once, it feels stressful and overwhelming. I've heard this from players in my guild, in higher guilds, in lower guilds, in casual guilds. People that barely do any kind of rating at all, do M+. They all feel just more stress. It's exciting, but it brings anxiety with it as well, because you feel the need to like gear and do content quickly and all that. I know that that is a choice players make, but that's the way gaming is this current point in time. That's how it is. Gaming's evolved. And we'll get more into that in a minute here, but I want to give a bit of a background on how, I guess, where this all began to change systematically. I believe in an interview coming out of Shadowlands, I believe, out of Sepulchre. It might have been early alpha beta for Dragonflight. Max spoke with, I think Morgan Day, I believe, and they said they're going to experiment with removing Heroic Week. And I am so down for Blizzard to experiment with changing the pacing of things. Experimentation in general is really good, I think, overall. I think it's important to sort of know like when it hasn't worked out fully. And I don't think, this is my opinion, it might be different from Blizzard's here, I don't think it's worked out. Based on what I've heard from players. Obviously, there are both sides of this. Some might love it. That's great. Legitimately. That's awesome. Everybody enjoys the game for different reasons. Some people collect mounts. Some people do rep farming, transmog, and that's awesome. But I don't think not having Heroic Week around changes that a crazy amount, if that makes sense, right? Heroic Week was going on in Vault, in Aberrus, in Myrtlesil, which obviously from a race to world first experience and all that leads to 3 or 4 days of split runs, a lesser viewing experience, but I don't think Blizzard should design around the race to world first. I'm not getting at that, but I think it's important to address that. Obviously, doing splits during the raid being out on Mythic feels a bit weird and awkward for raiders, whether you're doing world first stuff or even people around my level, right, where you're doing splits in your own guild, right? One of the big things is like, if you don't have Heroic Week to maybe do a split run, or even just if you're not doing splits, just in general, get into the raid on Heroic. Whenever the raid launches, we've had Heroic Week, so Heroic, no Mythic, and Heroic, no Mythic, and the week after, the raid opens on Mythic, right? That first week, when it's normal Heroic and LFR, I've had so much fun on those, because for the most part, my guild will test things on PTR, even if not, the bosses aren't like super challenging for guilds that, you know, progress Mythic the previous tier. Some end bosses have been tough. I mean, Anduin, Jailer, Razgeth, it's like 10-20 pulls, give or take. Some bosses were much more difficult. But there's always this sense of like excitement and camaraderie, getting into the raid on heroic, not feeling like there's this looming sword of Damocles over your head. If you're a guild that pushes for ranks or kills or speed kills or anything, where it's like any waking millisecond we waste in heroic or LFR or normal is a waste, because we can be in mythic grinding ranks. It takes a lot of the fun from just, hey, here's the patch. This is the raid on normal and heroic and LFR. We're having a good time. I'm running LFR with friends just to try and get a tier piece, because why not? It's cool to like stress. Normal, gotta clear it. Heroic, gotta go. Can't wipe. LFR, gotta do it, but I gotta get into M+ and farm things too. Gotta do this, gotta do that. It takes the fun away from like the initial gearing of the patch, right? And I don't think the time gating of everything, like nothing to all, makes the game fun and enjoyable, at least for me. And maybe it trickles out a bit more too. Obviously in the Race World First, most say they don't like it, but once again, this is not from a Race World First POV. I'm trying to give my thoughts on it and go from there. I feel like there's this looming sort of Damocles over my head of literally, if I'm not spending time, if I'm not fully optimizing every waking moment of my time based on how I enjoy playing the game, which is around optimizing stuff and, you know, all that. My parsers would say otherwise, but, you know, I'm not playing correctly. I'm doing it wrong. And maybe Blizzard doesn't really mind that a whole lot. Maybe they want to take a more casual approach and or gate everything, or just say, hey, whatever. It is what it is. But it's taken the fun, the camaraderie of walking into the raid. Week 1 of the patch. The patch hits on Tuesday. I want to log in, and the new raid's here. The new zone's here, and plus is here. I want to play with my friends, get in there and have a good time. To like, oh, cool, the patch is here on Tuesday. Like in Undermine, for example. The patch is here on Tuesday. This is really cool, but there's nothing really to do. I go to Undermine, do the campaign for 2 hours, and then I log off for a week, because there's no season X, season's not out, there's no M+, there's no new dungeons, I can't do M0s, LFR is not out, there's no normal, there's no heroic, it's not even a mythic, you know. And I feel like when everyone's super hyped about a patch coming out and they want to see the content and everything that Blizzard's put so much time and effort into on PTR, and they're awesome patches, then it's here, but oh, you gotta wait a week again. That feels really bad. It's unfortunate. I remember being in this zone like day 1 of the patch. It was so cool. The new drive cars out. The zone is super sick. I finished the campaign and I was like, what do I do? I drove around in circles for 7 hours doing nothing. I couldn't do dungeons, couldn't do the raid, couldn't PvP, couldn't really do anything because the season's not out. The raid's not open. I can't make LFRs with chat. I can't do, you know, heroic with my guild. I just sort of ran around in circles, right? You know, but I think bringing Heroic Week back, which brings with it normal, heroic, LFR, a partial start to M+, and the season partially dropping, really bridges that gap. And when it fulfills that excitement the players have when a patch comes out, which I think has just been lacking for these last few patches, right? You know, maybe some class changes that are there, but like it's just whatever. I can't even play my class changes because nothing's able to, you can't really do anything, right? I don't want to go in and farm the old raid for the week when the patch is out, but I'm back in there doing mythic farm in the last raid because the patch really isn't out, right? And that's disappointing, you know, and it makes it it's frustrating from a player POV, whether you're doing M+ raiding PvP. It's like, oh, the patch is here, I'm so hyped, and then oh, it's not really, I'm waiting another week, and it lessens the amount of excitement you have, and it leads to frustrations. So when the patch actually, when the season does start a week later, it's like, it's here, but I'm frustrated that I couldn't play a week beforehand, and it lessens the excitement. And there's a lot of debating, or a lot of discussion going on about time gating right now, which I understand this is a form of time gating. It's been around for a long time, a bit different from, you know, where it, a bit different of time gating from what you've seen in like Visions and all that stuff, right? But nonetheless, I think it is still time gating, but I don't think the experiments worked out. I think it was great to test with and try and figure out, but I don't think in the long run it's actually worked out in a positive manner. I think it gives a lesser, a worse experience if you're a player looking to hop in when the patch is here, when the raid's out, new dungeons are here, M+, and there's that. I had so many players coming back like last patch when they came out for Undermine, say, hey, this is super sick, patch is here, where do I queue the raid, where's the, you know, the new dungeons? I had to tell them, like, unfortunately, they're not here. You gotta wait a week again. It doesn't make any sense. The patch is here. Let's give content in the patch, right? Now, when it comes to War Within, I mean, Blizzard decided to bring back Heroic Week for Nuremberg Palace. I forgot the exact reason why. I think it was because of a new expansion giving players more time to get used to their classes and changes. I don't know if they even gave an explanation, but I think that was a good decision. a good choice. I was hoping that would extend to Liberation of Undermine and go from there. And once again, this is opinion based. I'm sure there are both sides to this, but I heard I swear it was an overwhelming amount of people that were like, man, this is so good having Heroic Week back again, because it's not just stressful. It's not just, go everything at once, go rush. It's more like, hey, I can see the raid at a more leisurely, casual pace. If you're a Heroic guild and don't do Mythic, great. You can go into LFR or normal and see it beforehand. If you're a Mythic guild, you can go do Heroic. And I mean, you can do that next week too, to be fair, if it's a Heroic guild. But you get what I'm saying? There's just no rush and like stress and anxiety with the patch to go and push. And once again, I get not everybody does raiding or Mythic Plus or PvP. And if you don't, that's great. Some collect mounts, some do transmogs, some have no interest in fighting, AI-based bosses in the raid or fighting other players, and that is phenomenal. Like wholeheartedly, I'm happy for you. That is great. I think it's important to look at this from both sides, where one part of the player base, with the lack of the season coming out in a staggered fashion with Heroic Week and partial M+, feels really feels stressed, and some feel stressed, a bit anxious about it. Some, I'm sure, enjoy it. But I haven't heard a whole lot about that. I haven't heard a lot saying that. I'm sure some do. I'm trying to be as unbiased here as possible. But regardless, whether the season comes out with Heroic Week or not, I don't think it really affects the part of the community that's doing non-dungeon / raid / PvP based content a crazy amount. It might even gate their content later. Maybe they can't farm mounts week 1. Maybe they can't do rep week 2 or week 1. I don't know. If that's the case, it feels even worse. Why are we gating those things behind that? I'm just not sure. I don't know if that was the case or not this last year. I don't really do a whole lot of it, but I don't think the time gating of Heroic Week and just the season in general has really worked out. With that, in addition, there are a handful of problems that brings with it that that are harder to address when it comes to just like boss tuning, class tuning, all that heading into the raid. When we've had Heroic Week, for example, right? Looking at Warcraft logs and things, when you've had Heroic Week in previous expansions, like Shadowlands and stuff, you've had time to come in and tune classes. Maybe some classes are doing really, really well. Week 1 of Heroic Week, and Blizzard can say, hey, that's OP. We're going to nerf that. Mistweaver. Hey, this class sucks. We're going to buff that. Unholy DK. Augmentation Evoker. Obviously, nobody wants Aug to be good again, but putting that aside, like, it makes class tuning much easier to do as well. Because if you don't have class tuning, or I guess data from class tuning, from normal, from Heroic, from these partial dungeons, if you're gating M+ or whatever at +6, +7, whatever, in week 1, if the raid releases week 1, if the raid drops at once and you have guilds going in there gearing certain classes, whether it's a world 1st setting or a world 8,000 setting, it might be a bit more important to gear the best classes in a world 1st setting, but it feels really weird going in and saying day 4 of the patch, when, everything's pushed back to week 2, hey, this class is doing too good, we're going to nerf them. Mistweaver. Or this is doing too poorly, we're going to buff them. Unholy DK, I think Dev was doing bad at the start. It was okay, actually. Augmentation, some lock specs. I think Hunter was doing pretty mediocre as well. Coming in, early progression, week 1, week 2, when guilds are pushing for ranks and stuff and saying, hey, we're changing this, feels bad. People put time and effort into gearing these classes. People still do split runs. They still choose their main, and then having that be nerfed or buffed really changes a whole lot and throws a wrench into a lot of things, right? Like, there are a lot of classes this tier that ended up getting buffed and nerfed and changing a lot of things, right? I mean, the saga of Warlock tuning every tier. Thankfully, this tier has been a pretty niche tier, niche in like a lot of ways, where a good bit of damage profiles have been wanted for Warlock. But I mean, like Shadow Priest, Ellie Shaman, once again, Aug Evoker, Unholy DK being pretty mediocre when the patch started. Druid slowly rising up, to be fair, albeit they were sort of sleeper, and obviously healing things being pretty crazy. Disc stuff, obviously, right? Like, that might have been caught a little earlier, but unfortunately, without these Heroic Weeks and like partial, like, pre-max content gating being around, it makes it much harder to catch those. Should they be caught on PTR? Realistically, yes. Have they been? No. And it is what it is. Now, on top of that, it's not just class tuning also. It's straight up boss tuning. I mean, and this is like where Blizzard should not design patch release content and all that around the race world first, but just in general, right? A lot of bosses this tier. I mean, if you watch the race world first, or your guild progress at like a higher level early on, Undermine, very fun raid. Loved it. One of the best raids in a long time for me, actually. I really, really enjoyed it, but the boss tuning was not good. The bosses were just really far off. Vexy, Cauldron were fine. Rick Reverb needed to be 3 healed in a world first setting for the 3rd boss in the raid. It was a very tight DPS check. Some of the actual like damage based mechanics hurt really bad. But needing a 3 heal a 3rd boss in the raid is pretty insane as far as DPS checks are concerned. If you've got a heroic week, more time between bosses, engage where players are at gearing wise and all that, whether it's a world first setting or a world 8000 setting, you can tune that and change that, whether it's LFR, normal, heroic, mythic. It gives more time, more leeway to Blizz and devs, which, you know, giving them more resources is great, obviously, to tune these fights in a manner where it's not like we're having to 3 heal the 3rd boss in the raid. Styx Bunk Junker, obviously, omega overtuned when it came to a 4th boss in the raid, having to underheal this fight, having to play some insane comps of multiple Shadow Priests, multiple Boomkins, cleave-based classes, barely killing the boss, super Titan Rage, hard DPS check, hard HPS check, having to underheal this fight, grotesquely overtuned when it came to a world first setting. Even my guild, we killed these 3 bosses like in day 1 or 2 of our schedule, and we killed them again next week. It might have been week 1, I don't know. We spent like 4 days progressing Styx. Like we raided Tuesday. Yeah, I think it was week 2. It's like week 3 of the patch because, you know, it's all gated. We spent Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday working on Styx when it was grotesquely overtuned before no nerf came in at all. And we were close to killing it. We could have killed it. Our Boomkin overslept. It is what it is. But Blizzard then came in on Monday morning, I believe, and destroyed the boss, nerfed the crap out of it. Guilds that had been progressing like us, that didn't raid Monday or whatever, sort of got screwed over, didn't get a second vault slot, didn't get a kill, and we lost like 100 ranks in this fight because we didn't raid Monday. We also don't raid Tuesdays past week 2 of the season, so we didn't raid on Tuesday. We lost like 100 ranks in this fight. Our best pull was like 16%, 120 pulls with that. We walked in and one-shot it next week. Just blew it apart, right? Tuning was just astronomically just so far off from this boss. It was like, what's going on? Sprocketmonger, for a lot of guilds too, it's a bit of a wall. I don't think it was bad. I didn't prog this fight. I sat at this tier, but it still felt like this boss could have definitely been maybe taken down a little bit health-wise when it came to guilds reaching it week 2, week 3. Even in a world first setting, like they killed it. It wasn't the cleanest kills, but it was not horrendously tuned. One Arm Bandit, world first guilds made definitely Liquid. I didn't watch a lot of Echoes prog. Made this boss look so much easier than it actually was. One Arm Bandit lasted in a pre-nerf state for weeks too long, right? It should have been nerfed literally a month before it was. There were a couple thousand guilds, I believe, on this boss just stuck progression-wise. It took us 220 pulls, give or take. You could see a 5% wipe, 10% wipe on pull 70, and you killed it 180 pulls later, right? Just the RNG of the fight, the pacing of the fight, the cadence of the fight, the essentially one-shot mechanics with missing a dunk, all that, right? Some changes, damage reductions, HPS reductions, or, you know, making healing easier, all that. Definitely could have come into this fight. You're having to 3 heal this fight. Week 7 or I guess 7, like week, 3 or 4 of Frog? Guys, like, come on. You know, Muggsy, I think Muggsy's still bugged to this day, unfortunately, with some of the bombs and their placing, them being actually located in different spots than they appear, unfortunately. If you watch Muggsy prog for both Liquid and Echo, the boss is bugged. He just randomly melees people coming out of phase 2 spin intermission and kill somebody. Just a bug. Bombs would spawn in certain spots. Visually, they'd be here, but the actual hitbox would be here. So you try to pop it. Oh, the bomb's not here. Oh, I guess we just wipe. Go again. Unfortunately, I mean, would that have been caught during Heroic Week? Possibly. Would it have been fixed? Maybe. But seeing that happen in like a week 1, here's the patch, here's the raid kind of setting, feels pretty bad, you know? And then when it comes to Gallywix, man, I mean, I think Galley is a cool fight. Very, very cool. And Mythic Galley was obviously hidden, you know. I wish there was another phase in that fight. Would have been cool to see. I think it's a cool fight. Obviously, pretty undertuned. I don't think Blizzard having knowledge of like players gearing things would have changed the fight a whole lot. I think it's like it just needed another phase, give or take. But regardless, though, a lot of fights this tier, tuning wise, HPS wise, DPS wise, just everything, timing wise, bugs. We can find this stuff with a Heroic Week, with a normal week. And should there be bugs existing at this point in the patch? Not really, but it happens. It is what it is. Everyone's human, but like, it gives so much more just leeway, time to fix bugs, address bugs, all this stuff. Tuning, class-wise, buff things, nerf things, bring classes more in line. Even with the tier being relatively niche, it gives more time for Blizzard to tune around these things and give the players the best experience possible heading into the new patch, which is what the end goal is, right? When I log in and see a new patch and want to go to the new zone and everything, and I hop in the new zone, I'm excited for the new raid, new M+, new dungeons, even PvP if you do that, right? And I go to the zone, I quest for 2 hours, and I'm done for the week. I mean, what is... Come on. I want to play the patch. I don't want to say, the patch is coming, and then, oh, it's here, but come back in a week. You know? The question is, how do you address this, right? Because obviously it's not super easy just saying, all right, we'll bring Heroic Week back. But I think that there are certain things like, you know, the Mythic Raid lockout being sort of out of date, being dated and all that, which is a whole different video in itself. Or, you know, having no real content in week 1 of a patch coming out is worth the time investment for Blizzard to figure out how to make this work, right? Once again, I'm totally down for him to experiment with things. Removing Heroic Week, I was down for the experiment. I knew, me personally, I knew within 1 day of not having Heroic Raid in Vault of the Incarnates, whatever it was, I didn't like it. But I gave it more time, this and that, everything else, didn't like it. That sort of Damocles over my head of, cool, there's not much to do for what I enjoy in the game for the week 1 of the patch. That's okay, at the end of the world. There's no raid, nothing else. And the moment week 2 hits, everything opens up at once. The excitement that I have for when I play with my friends and go into the raid and see the bosses in a more fun, like leisurely manner, it's all gone. It is fun to pure stress. Any moment you waste in Heroic or Normal or LFR or aren't in M+ farming gear for your raid is essentially wasted. I know it's more of a higher end, I'm not some World First Raider, man, but some higher end, like, kind of mindset. I think it's how gaming sort of is nowadays, right? Players feel the you know, the drive, the reason, the need to, like, do this, to push content. They want to push content. The first thing a lot of people do when they pick up a new class, they go find a guide on Wowhead or whatever, right? Not everybody does, but gaming has become way more optimized, man. Hyper optimizing gear. People want to just get into the raid, into M+ too, right? You know, when the patch comes out and people are hyped about it and they log in, oh, gotta wait a week. Just feels bad, you know? Now, there are a handful of problems with this, right? Obviously, you have the issue of, well, how do you deal with M+ loot? Because I think this is one of the issues they cited when it came to removing Heroic Week was, how do you... They didn't like capping M+ at like +6 or +7 or +8, whatever it was at the end of Shadowlands. Week 1. I think I do more rating than M+. I don't do M+ World First, obviously, but putting a bias aside and looking at this from an outside perspective, I think gating, like, if you want to do +85s week 1 for M+, go for it. But they're gonna, if they have to gate gear, like basically don't have hero gear drop at whatever level key they're at or higher for 1 week, I think that's fine. It gives a much better player experience. If you want to get in the dungeons and go run them, you can still do it. Not a big deal. If you want to go into the raid, Heroic Week's out, go do that. If you want to farm Heroic gear for M+, go do it. You can go to the raid week 1 on Heroic, right? It's not a big deal. If you want to progress past, let's say they cap it at +7 for loots, like +6 and below will drop gear up to champion. Just hypothetically saying here, +7 and higher drops champion only. Like, you don't even have to remove the loot. You can make it +7 to +7,000, still drop champion gear. Who cares? If players want to try and push past that, if you're at M+ Andy, go for it. If you want to push to +85 day 1, have fun. Go for it. People would honestly enjoy that. I think. Yeah, it's a little awkward saying, okay, we're going to cap it so no Heroic gear week 1 for these dungeons, but it's fine. It's okay. People want to get in there and enjoy the patch. They want to play the game. I want to play the game is what it comes down to, right? I want to log on, the patch is here, been looking at PTR for months, my class has changed, all that. I want to get on and play the game. Dungeons, PvP, the raid, M+. And that's what the game is, right? I can go run around the new zone for a few hours, but like, man, you know, I want to play the game, right? And honestly, when it comes to capping M+ loot, I'm not even really sure if you need to cap it anymore. Obviously, loot lockouts when it comes to Mythic lockouts being, you know, like a... if Mythic lockouts being like limited, like locked the way they are, it feels a bit awkward, like a system of the past, right? I think you could definitely make Mythic lockouts the way Heroic lockouts are now. I think for the most part, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Honestly, I'd love bonus roll coins to come back. Those were super fun. I loved those in the past. I loved, you know, looking at what bosses I could coin and roll and say, maybe I want to coin this boss unless this drops, or I win this and I push this coin to here. Maybe I can go into the raid and kill this boss on heroic again. Won't drop loot, but I can coin it. Maybe I can roll the item second time, killing the boss. Honestly, I don't know if you even need to have a heroic lockout anymore anyways. You can probably just say whatever to heroic lockouts, let players kill bosses over and over. It doesn't really matter a crazy amount, I feel like, with how people just hyper optimize M+ and all that. I mean, M+ is not locked out, right? Like, week 2 of the patch, M+ is not locked. You can go into, I think it's a +6? +6 or 7? And those drop hero gear at the end of the dungeon run. Not even like, oh, in the weekly vault. I think weekly vaults give hero gear at like +2 or +3 M+. Like, hero gear drops in +6s. I don't think we even need to cap M+ anymore. Probably if you uncapped like heroic lockouts, let players farm heroic bosses, and let players just go in there and farm hero gear out of M+ week 1. That'd be great. And like, I could play the patch when it comes out. And that's so exciting. That's what I want to do. You know, there's no sword of Damocles over my head of like, oh, I gotta go, I gotta stress week 2 or week 3 because the rate of things pushed back. The patch comes out, I can get on and I can play the patch. You can play the patch. You've got time for boss tuning. If bosses are bugged or overtuned week 1, I mean, with heroic, it is what it is. You can come in and fix bugs, tune bosses. Classes are doing poorly, buff them. Classes are OP. Maybe say, hey, in a few weeks, we're gonna nerf this class. We'll give you a little while. Figure out what you got to do with mains, this and that, go from there. But you have the data ahead of time. You don't have to gate M+, you don't got to gate the raid, you don't got to gate the season. Players can log on and play the patch when the patch hits. This is a unbiased, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. I'm not looking at it from a world first only POV, like race to world first. I cast it, I'm not a world first raider, I don't raid in liquid. I'm just saying in general, I'm a player that wants to play the patch, play the game when the patch comes out. And if all you do is like collect mounts and rep grind and transmog, that's sick. Pet battles, I did it for a long time. I didn't raid for a couple of years. You can do all that too. I don't know if that's gated at all behind the patch or not. If that's gated, why are we gating that? If it's not gated, then great. Nothing changes for you. You're still having a great time, right? But I think with like time gating being a huge point of contention, I guess, from players right now, whatever the wording is, bringing back Heroic Week, just like, I would go so far. So I know we're getting into PTR for 11.2 at this point. Maybe it isn't even an 11.2 thing. And we're probably going to have Heroic Week 1 of midnight anyways, because if they follow suit with Nerebar Palace. But let's really consider bringing back Heroic Week. And if we can bring back Heroic Week even 11.2 and push the patch back a week to have it all come out with Heroic, you know, in the Mythic week later, let's do it. Let's give players the best experience possible. And the best experience possible is certainly not 0 to 100. Gating everything behind week 2. So thanks for watching, guys. Wraps it up. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it wasn't too long. I don't know how long it was, maybe half an hour, give or take. I wanted to make this video for a long time. I'm passionate about this game. I love WoW. I played it my whole life. It's given me opportunities I never thought I'd ever have, man. I don't know what I've done to be blessed to be able to stream this game and play it for a living. It is utterly insane. And I want the game to be as exciting as it can be, right? And I know that this video might not appeal to everyone. Some might enjoy the gating. That's okay if you do. I wanted this to be like an opinionated kind of piece, like my opinion without having much of a bias towards it. My point of view, I guess. I want everybody to have fun, whether you raid, M+, PvP, collect pets, pet battle, transmog, whether you log in and run around in circles and then log out. I want you to have fun playing the game, right? And I can say with full confidence, I had much more fun playing the game when Heroic Week was a thing. And obviously, from a race world first viewing experience and all that, splits aren't incredibly exciting to see. I think a lot of that can be changed with like just loot lockout changes, maybe in midnight. We'll see. I don't know. I want to make a video in general on rating in a few weeks or a week or so. Obviously, that needs to change probably at some point too. But I'm passionate about the game. I want it to be as good as it is, and I am so down for Blizz to experiment with things. But I think it's important to know. I'm not saying Blizz is wrong here. From my point of view, I think things should be better. I think it's important to know and realize, maybe say, hey, this didn't work out the way we planned, and make those changes. Maybe it did. Maybe they enjoy the game like this, but I think this is a worse player experience than we had with Heroic Week being a thing. So please bring back Heroic Week. Yeah, if you guys want any week awards or add-ons or anything I use, all kind of stuff, shameless plugs, Twitch, Twitter, or Twitch, Discord, website, whatever, all up here, down there. Yo, if y'all are supported on Patreon, thank y'all a million times. I greatly appreciate y'all. Much love. Thank you. You're looking at supporting on Patreon, link up here, as well as down below. And yeah, if you like the video, like and sub. Pushing for 100K subs this year. Gonna try and hit it. If we don't, that's okay. I love you all the same. But thanks for watching. Yeah, that's my TED Talk. I'm passionately hopeful for 11.2, whether it's Heroic Week back or not, but it would make it a little better for me if it was. So thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all again soon on stream. Peace.